Single family.
Maybe we'll need this for the resolution, there's a couple words, but down to that, I'm up with the title.
Okay. Is your garden?
I'm very far behind getting that stuff started.
It's still March.
So,
So,
passion.
Good Friday, you gotta find potatoes. on Good
Potatoes.
Friday.
Passion, my passion flowers.
I get started. For Pina.
Yeah. Did they start? good?
Astros, yeah.
I
I got my peppers.
My peppers are all,
Peppers.
I have a couple peppers that did for. One of them was like seeds I saved. from the grocery store.
No.
I'm not sure if they're like some kind of a weird hybrid that does all.
I got like watermelon, cantaloupe.
I'm
Oh, you started those already? I haven't started.
really the line of reasons.
I was trying to.
Weather.
Really understand.
Breeze.
Ken, could you please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Notice of this meeting was given in advance thereof by publishing one time in the Keith County News. Posting at the city administration building is shown by the certificate of posting notice. Notice of this meeting was simultaneously given to the president and all members of council. Availability of the agenda was communicated in the advance notice and the notice to the president and council of this meeting. All proceedings hereafter will be taken while this convened meeting is open to the attendance of the public. This meeting is being convened in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the southeast corner of the council chambers. Any person wishing to address the council may do so by standing. When you are recognized, please go to the podium. Please sign the sign-in sheet located on the podium and state your name and the organization, interest, or person you represent before you begin speaking. Thank you. Roll call.
Pierre.
Here.
Bachman.
Here.
Kraski.
Here.
Laughlin.
Here.
Weddington.
Here. All right, under the consent agenda, we have the minutes of the regular meeting held March 10th, 2026, and the claims.
Move. Good.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Weddington and a second by Councilman Laughlin to approve the consent agenda. There's no discussion. Council, please vote.
Not working over there. There you go. 5 yes.
Motion carried. Under public hearing, we have a planning and zoning. We've received a recommendation from the overall planning commission regarding the planning and zoning special exception request for a wireless telecommunications tower in an I-1 industrial zone. Property is located at 101 East County Road 80, parcel ID 120250100, located in section 18, township 13 north, range 38 west of the 6th PM, Keith County, Nebraska. We'll open the public hearing at 7:02.
So this is a request from Ryan Streff with name of, what is it again?
Field Consulting on behalf of the Towers LLC.
For a Verizon wireless cell phone tower to be placed at the John Deere lot in the northeast corner of the John Deere lot. We've searched other locations.
We've been in conversation with Mr. Streff for almost a year
Yep.
and looking at various sites. This is found to be the most ideal site for this particular communication tower. It will not be limited exclusively to Verizon, but Verizon is what's driving the tower construction.
And I think I read somewhere some monopole.
Yes. Yep. How many, 120 feet? I believe.
Okay.
It'll have a 5 foot, ground on top, so it'll actually be 125. It's zoned, I1 industrial, which requires, I mean, all towers require council approval, so. The two things that the planning commission recommended is that, there's a fall zone letter in there. Because it is made to fall on itself, it will not exceed that 40 foot perimeter. So they, wanted to use that as an engineered letter. It is stamped and it's in the packet. And the landscaping requirements. So our code requires it to have trees around it. And I think that we should, or the planning commission feels that we shouldn't allow that because it'll make it look out of place.
Landscaping would be incongruent with the zone.
So, but they do plan on putting a chain link fence around it with privacy slats in it, so you can't see the equipment at the bottom. And it'll make it look more industrial.
You know, one of the issues, again, this was years back, the technology may have didn't change, but I remember in dealing with cell towers. The ice buildup in this area and then the ice falling off that.
So it would be, there's a 40 foot, it'll be in a chain link fence that goes, is it 40 foot or 60 foot around it? You remember? It's in the plans. I don't know. I have to but.
It's a 60 by 60
Yes.
sections.
So if any ice that would fall, I would hope would fall in that 60 foot perimeter.
Yeah, it's. There's not gonna be a lot of people there. I remember when we put the cell tower up by. What is it now? The donut shop and.
Viero?
Viero, I think there was concern there that, the ice would come down on the building and their comment was, well, it's our building, so.
Do you have anything to add, Ryan?
Council members, so just, again, looking at the site plan here, we do have a leased area that is 60 by 60, that's at the base of that tower. And then within that 60 by 60, we have approximately a 50 by 50 fenced compound at the base, which Brandon had stated that that'll be a 6 foot fence. There's also 1 foot of barbed wire then on that fence for security purposes, and then it will have screening slats to disguise or to screen the equipment. And as you had said about, ice fall or whatnot, there are screens like on the equipment themselves, there's coverings that, so if the ice is falling, then it falls and it hits those and it breaks apart, right? There are no structures at the base of the tower that are be concerned of any ice fall. Any ice fall will be directed down into our lease area, then there's no other concern in terms of the engineering piece of it. Again, it's designed with the accurate engineering firms and applicable codes for wind, snow, and ice flow.
And there would be no guide wires with that either. Guide wires, so.
It's not gonna look like a pine tree. This guy is probably, I think that'd catch a lot of wind up here, but
So it's engineered to fall on itself. So, I mean, what you're saying is if it were to topple over, it would not reach 120 feet into Nutrien's property.
Council member, great question. Again, that's the design with that fall zone is, the engineering on it. So it's designed to break at a certain point. If the tower was further from the property lines, typically then we wouldn't have it engineered in such that way. So there's a point where that will bend and break, and more is just will teeter over onto itself and doesn't fall straight over to go onto any right of way or any adjacent property lines.
so is that like 30-foot sections then that buckle?
Council member, I wish I could tell you the exact distance. I
But
don't have that.
if it's a 60-foot area you lease,
That's right.
so you got a 125-foot pole. So you'd think it'd be, 30-foot either way.
I guess, if we want the exact on that, we would just want the engineer.
Yeah,
I don't want to put
I'm not an
any
engineer,
word
just-
to.
just
to-
More
to break.
more curiosity
Yes.
than,
I think that was a great question brought up at planning and zoning.
you know, if Nutrien were to add another tank to the north there, are we protecting that? Sounds like they are with the engineering of that.
Yeah,
Council member, there is right of way there first before Nutrien, so there's 40 feet and then there's probably, I don't know, I would say there's 40 or 60 feet before you'd actually get to any setback for any tank that they would have, so I think they're probably, if, with this pole being 125 feet, even if we didn't have the engineering, it wasn't that designed that way, I still don't believe you'd reach there.
And that's what I'm seeing off of the measurements is that, so.
right, any other questions for Ryan or Brandon? Right, if not, we're gonna leave this public hearing open. And this will be an agenda item a little later on. And, moving on under public forum, we have people service, our regular update.
Got both the big guns here today, Councilman.
I brought support this time. How we doing, council? Everybody got a copy of the report? Is there any questions on that before I get into some other things? No? Okay, so the hot topic this month obviously is the wastewater plant again. 3 weeks ago, we did experience what we refer to as a plant kill. This is where something was introduced into the plant that killed all of our bacteria, which then stops all the process. All the water basically becomes clear because we have no bacteria anymore.
So to be clear, bacteria is a good thing.
At the wastewater plant,
Yeah.
bacteria is a very good thing.
Right.
Yes. And we do need that to survive. So we stopped accepting any kind of dumping at our dumping station at that point. Not allowing any black water, gray water, blue water, anything from porta potties. Nothing is accepted into the plant now because we just want to bring in straight influent from the city and not have any of those antibacterial products running through our plant. It's taken a little bit longer than I anticipated, and we're kind of finding out now why, but we are starting to have activity underneath the microscope. We are starting to have bacteria grow and show life, and we are starting to reestablish the plant, which is a very good thing. It's just a little bit slower than I wanted to. Last week's sample showed that our biological oxygen demand coming into the plant, and this will get a kind of technical, but just pay attention to the numbers, was 12. Historically, we're bringing in 115 to 170. And that is the biological oxygen demand, or BOD, indicates the amount of bacteria that's coming into our plant. The higher the BOD, the more bacteria that comes into our plant. Okay, so really low. I mean, panicking low, because that means that we're not getting the food to the plant just from the regular gray water, which takes longer for us to build our plant back up because we don't have the food necessary to feed the bugs that are there. Okay, so we're doing some more research on that, and one of the things that we are doing is we are going around and looking at all of your industrial or any kind of factory or anything that produces anything, parts, cleaning, it really doesn't matter. We're just looking at all those facilities, going and talking to them and doing some fact finding and some education, because we need to know what people are dumping down the drains. We do believe that the first kill was from a slug, I call it. That's where somebody came and just dumped a bunch and went through the plant and just wiped the plant out, right? Because we are growing bacteria currently, so that shows that we're not being inundated by anything that is antibacterial. Make sense so far? Good. Should have been a school teacher. No, okay. So we are going along slower than I wanted to, but we are making progress, and we're gonna obviously keep looking at our community to see if anybody is dumping anything that they're not supposed to be doing. Hopefully, since this is on here and you write this in the paper, tell them that we are out looking for illegal discharge into our public wastewater system. Hopefully, most of the time, not most of the time, but some of the times when I do this right here, it seems to go away.
There's a costly seriousness too.
It's extremely costly seriousness, because once again, we're out of compliance still, right? This week compared to last week, our TSS and our BOD are back into compliance, but our ammonia is still not. So this causes issues for the community. And we need to find out why we're having this come to our plant. And it can get costly if we have to start doing investigation and start, sampling manholes, working our way back into the community, trying to target where neighborhood it's coming from. That can be very costly. So we're hoping just by communicating this that people just listen and stop. And then hopefully we can build the plant back. So that's our struggles today, is getting the plant back up. So any
So
questions on
When
that?
when you said it was like a slug, would that mean like a
One fast discharge, meaning that, say at our dumping station, right? Somebody came and just dumped 5,000 gallons of 100% antibacterial product.
Boom.
Then that just goes through the plant in one slug, and it kills everything as it's going through. So then as it's killing everything, all of our biomass and our trickling filters, all of our mixed liquors, all of that just move out with it. And now we're left with nothing but just water. So we don't have our bacteria to create our biomass to be able to treat for the TSS, the BOD, and the ammonia.
How often does this occur?
How often does this occur? According to the history of this plant here, this is the first time that they've had a major kill. They've had issues before, but it hasn't killed the plant like it did this time. And I can't give you like once a year, twice a year. I can't give you that.
Do you have any rough idea, how many gallons are we talking of this contaminant to kill the
I
plant?
can't answer that question.
We don't have a clue.
It all depends on strength, right?
Are we
Because
looking for somebody pouring a quart of oil down the drain? Or are we talking a 500 gallon?
it all depends on concentration.
A lot of the biocide like this.
If you have a concentration of a highly concentrated, that could hurt us bad. But if it's weak, it could be 10,000 gallons. It just depends on the strength of what it was. And since we monitor our dumping station, I don't want to go into down the rabbit hole and try to point fingers yet, because that's not fair to anybody. But obviously we do monitor that. There are forms that need to be filled out. We identify if they have contracts with the city who's allowed to dump there. We don't allow anybody else to dump there. We don't know what somebody dumped in a manhole or down a drain halfway across town. You can't police that. So wish I had a better answer for you, but
Do you know what kind of material it is?
no.
Oil, gas, fertilizer?
No, before we go into identifying what it is like that, because we have to sample, and then you have to figure out what are we gonna sample for. We can't just take a bottle and say, figure out what's in the sample.
Really?
No, because they have to request what test to do. There isn't a test that'll just identify some odd product. They have to test for diesel, they have to test for petroleum, they have to test for solvents. They have to test for that. There's a special test for each one of those.
And it's probably done before you realize you're bacteria.
Usually, yes, because as we talked about the ones, slug, it's usually through it. Now we got to recover, right? My point now is that I'm not recovering as fast as I should be.
So there's still something coming in the system.
So we think that there's still a minor amount of something coming in. The indication of that is our BOD is so low on the influent, meaning that we have lower bacteria coming in. Because just in natural wastewater, we have natural bacteria that is obviously introduced in many ways that we won't get into here. But that can be lowered by some kind of contaminant that's an antibacterial. That can be solvent, that can be fuel, that can be a bunch of different things. So it's a mystery that's very difficult for us to figure out, right? Our first goal is to get the plant back up and running. That's our first goal. So we're attacking that now. We're spending time now manually operating that plant. There is no automation there at the moment. We are manually returning, we are manually wasting, we are manually testing everything. We are doing everything so that we can control it and have a lot of control over what's happening now.
How often do you test the BOD?
Weekly.
Weekly.
By permit. Now we're doing it every 2 or 3 days along with the ammonia. Because, we have the inside lab and we have the equipment there too. So that's process control. So we could do process control to determine what the plant's doing, but weekly we have to send our actual permit samples.
And it has to be a pretty good amount of something to put you offline.
Yes.
It's not gonna be Joe's cooking meth and dump to his employees.
Well, that's not true, because that could kill us really quick, because that has a lot of stuff in it, but that'd be like 500 gallons,
Right.
right? Because it has to be enough to go through and strip everything in the plant.
Something,
Yes,
somebody that runs a cooling tower that has biocide that treats their own cooling tower. You can shut them down because the biocide in cooling towers is so strong. Because you're buying it so concentrated, you can shut them down. We did it one time at the hospital back in about 1988. They told me, because I needed to dump the cooling towers, it was October. It's like, you ain't got enough strong enough. It's okay. Opened it up and said, don't do that again. It's okay.
And it's not good.
We won't slug them.
it isn't good.
So
Normally in a kill like this, like I said, it normally passes through, we could build everything back up at a faster rate than I'm currently doing it at, right? That's my concern now.
Did I understand? You say something is still coming into the system, you think?
All I can tell you at this moment without, or, I'm taking a bunch of bottles in and specifically saying what we want to sample for. Currently our BOD is so low, which indicates that we have something killing our bacteria before it gets to the plant.
Do we know if it's coming from south of town or?
That's what next.
Not yet, no, because, all right, so our process is first and foremost is to get our plant up and running, right? So we got to focus on that. In the same time, we are looking at facilities that are known to have something that could possibly do it. Solvents, anything like that. So we're approaching them people, asking them.
Car wash.
Yeah, would, car wash, not really. Well, unless you have somebody washing out a diesel trailer that was hauling, solvent, This is our problem, right? What we're just doing right now, this is what we're doing. This is our problem, is it's hard to put a finger on what actually it is, unless we do a bunch of sampling and spend thousands of dollars doing that. In time, that might be necessary, because our next step, if we can improve everything in the next week or so, as far as what's coming into the plant, because I'm positive we're moving in the right direction at the plant. Then we have to start setting samples at certain manholes to split the town up, right? We have one line coming from the plant all the way to a certain point, okay? We would sample that manhole next. And then we would sample the one over here coming into it, right? If we have nothing here, but we got something here, then we move up to this one. And we can nail it down to a neighborhood. Sure. But you can't nail it down to a house or anything else, because we're testing the public system, right?
Would it be beneficial though to take 2 or 3 tests now, just at least determine south, north, just 2 or 3? Help us get it narrowed down to a.
That is our next step, if what we're doing right now does not work. That is our next step, yes. Is that because we have no choice, because we have to start identifying where it's coming from.
don't have it back. They'll be done.
Once again, this is our mystery, right? This is something that, you just cannot specifically say what it is, because it's already gone. And yes, and taking samples, we can go for diesel fuel, we could go for solvents, we can go for that, right? But if they're dumping something else and we sample for all of these, it's such a mystery.
I'm sure you guys have looked at this already, but is it somewhat seasonal? If you look back through history, do we see some sort of seasonal that we could pinpoint?
We do see seasonal behavior, but not to this extreme, right? Because our bugs, that's what we call them, the bacteria, our bugs in the wintertime move slower, so they produce less, so they act differently. We automatically see different in different seasons. We do see different activity at our plant. That's common, right? So yes, there is a trend to that. There is no trend, because I did this today. There is no trend on our BODs dropping this far. For the last 2 years, there is absolutely no trend for dropping this far. So we continue doing what we're doing. Our priority is get the plant back up and running. Once again, we are in, I call it probably 75% in compliance with the improvements that we've already made. We are starting to build our bugs back up. We continue to do that, and in the meantime, we're reaching out and going and looking at places to see if we can find a smoking gun. And then if we can't do that, then we have to start sampling at different manholes. Trying to decide what side of town that is coming from. If it continues, like I said, there are times that I do this right here and it just stops.
I would think the consequences or the penalties would be pretty severe for you.
Depends on what your ordinance are. You know, I mean, you know, that's what it is, right? There is no there is no federal law. That I'm aware of anyway, that we can go arrest somebody for dumping solvent down their sink. I don't know, the EPA probably has something, you know, but it's usually based on city ordinances. But I'm not a legal expert.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would think it'd be more than $100 fine, or, you know, somebody may think, well, it's a lot cheaper to just.
Now, if somebody's caught dumping into a river or something, that's EPA, right? I mean, that's a lot different than what we're dealing with here. You know, but once again, I'm not law enforcement, so.
I'm just curious.
Do you think if you were to go back and look at your BOD numbers, do you see a trend of a drop off in that number this time of year, every year?
No.
No.
Nope. I went back 2 years. And, no, there is no, cause I was hoping that's what it was, right? Because that would explain this, and then we just waited out. But no, in the last 2 years, that has not been the case.
Well,
So we'll continue to do the struggle, we'll continue to move forward. Obviously, I'm keeping him up to date as we move along on everything. But if we don't have anything in the next week or two, as far as building our bugs back and, you know, at a certain rate and our BOD does not approve, then we do have to start going out and sampling to every manhole, not every manhole, but start tracking down to this corner of town, then we can track it down to this street. But that's the best we can do, then we have to start going into people's homes.
There are some letters in this particular stage of the process, Mike's gonna get you a template of, that will get the building inspector in to look and see what's going on, if we suspect there's that.
There are, if we have anybody in town who either has permits or is doing anything or is producing anything that currently is not a problem with us, but it could be several different things at once too, right? It could not be just one person. It could be several different things happening here at the same time, because once again, we don't know, but it's a pre-treatment agreement. And this, and the city would make a pre-treatment agreement with said, I don't know, industry, that they have to meet certain limits before they can dump it into our system. And there's fines associated with that if they're over it, and they have to sample, they have to show us their samples, they're open to inspection at any time. There's all this kind of stuff, you know, it's extremely common with manufacturers that dump into a municipal system. So we're gonna work on that.
what if somebody just says, you're not coming into my business?
What's that?
What if we want to go inspect a business and they won't let him in?
That's what we think, you know, him, he's awful stocky, we just push him in the door. No, seriously, they cannot.
Always remedies.
Yeah, they cannot deny us, if we are looking for something that comes into this particular sector, nobody can deny us access into their home as long as we're allowing them time to give us access.
I guess we can always dig it up and block their sewer.
Well, we can turn the water off.
That's what I'm talking about. There's always remedies.
Yeah, we could just turn the water off. Then they can't create nothing, you know, I mean, so there are ways to do that, but legally they cannot stop us from doing certain things. The EPA does have certain things in place for that.
Hopefully they'll work with us to get this thing resolved, whoever it is or whatever it is.
Well, you know, we just keep doing what we're doing. And any other questions on that?
Well, appreciate your effort. I know it's pretty frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating. It is. It's extremely frustrating, but we got a good team here, so we're gonna continue to work forward on it.
We'll get into the other good news next month.
Yes. I need more information on that one first. I was hoping you were gonna say.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else here, that would like to speak under public forum? That's anything not on the agenda? Not, we have nothing from the city clerk treasurer, and going on to recommendations, departments, boards and committees. When we get back to our planning and zoning, the special exception request for the wireless telecommunications tower. We will close the public hearing at 7:20. If no one else is wanting to speak on that, we'll close public hearing at 7:28. Any comments, questions from the council?
I'll move to approve a special exception request for a wireless communication tower in an I-1 industrial zone. The property is located at 101 East County Road 80, parcel ID 120250100, located in section 18, township 13 north, range 38 west of the 6 p.m. Keith County, Nebraska.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Laughlin and a second by Councilman Clockman. There's no further discussion. Did you have something you'd like to say?
Council, I just want to make sure, I think, as Brandon alluded to earlier, was the conditions, and I don't know if that's something that you guys, handle, at this level, but I just wanted to draw attention to it to make sure it was part of the final approval or process. So I don't know if Kevin, if you.
They're approving the special exceptions.
What he's saying is without the trees and with the fall zone letter.
It's being approved as submitted.
Yeah.
That's the motion.
All right, back to motion by Councilman Laughlin, second by Councilman Clockman. No further discussion by the council. Council, please vote.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to get him a new widget.
Five yes.
Motion carried. All right, moving on, under wastewater. Congressional directed spending requests for the Ogallala wastewater system improvement project. Resolution 2326.
Mr. President, we are submitting, we have submitted a request to Congressman Smith's office, and we're submitting a second request to Senator Fisher's office for $4 million in congressional designated spending, aka earmark funds, for the wastewater treatment plant. The latest engineering supplemental analysis, the supplement to the supplement to the supplement, is about 6.8 million, Mike.
About 7 million.
So we're requesting 4 million. Senator Fisher requires a resolution and letter of support. They changed the deadline on me. I had to submit this last week, but I have made contact with staff members at Senator Fisher's office, and they'll be accepting these once we get them ratified. I talked to Congressman Smith's office. Congressman Smith's staffer, Jimmy Gow, has been out here. He's seen the plan. He's aware of our needs. So hopefully, and I've been transparent with both of them, that we're not choosy about who gets this $4 million. So that's this resolution just will be submitted along with the application for the request for funding that I've already.
I would introduce resolution 2326 and move for its adoption.
Resolution of support for congressional directed spending requests for the Ogallala wastewater system improvement district.
Second.
We have a resolution introduced, and it's introduced by Councilman Laughlin There's a second by Councilman Dupierre. There's no further discussion. Could council please vote?
Five yes.
Resolution 2326 is hereby adopted. Moving on, under wastewater, again, we have a community project funding request letter of support for FY 27 community project funding request for the Ogallala wastewater system improvement project.
Mr. President, this is just an accompanying letter to that resolution and authorizes you to sign the letter.
Move to community project funding request letter of support for FY 27 community project funding request for the Ogallala wastewater system improvement project and authorize the council president to sign the letter.
We have a motion by Councilman Laughlin and a second by Councilman Clockman. Authorize the council president to sign the letter of support. There's no discussion, so please vote.
Five yes.
Motion carried. Moving on, under street, we have a claim from Shelco Construction, $30,922.50.
Mr. President, I take responsibility for this being from the council as I authorize an additional $2,200 in expenses towards a project without taking consideration it was going to drive us over the statutory bid limit of $30,000. So this is before you for your approval. What occurred is in the curb and gutter replacement at several locations, the ground was found to be saturated as they pulled out the curb and gutter. In some places they dug out an additional 2 feet of material. We kind of split the difference. We paid for the materials. They did the labor. Probably should have been a separate bill. So, but it was submitted as one claim. Brandon, how deep did they have to go in front of your house? I mean, it was
Wide ways, 3 feet. It was probably about 2 foot at least, I'd say. It's completely saturated.
the contractor did alert us to this, that, you know, that it would be a better repair and more long-term repair if we did it right. So that is why it's before you now.
Move to approve the funding for Shelco Construction in the amount of $30,922.50.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Weddington and a second by Councilman Laughlin to approve the Shelco construction claim. There's no further discussion. Could the council please vote?
Five yes.
Motion carried. None. Report of city attorney. Report of city manager.
I have my grandson in the audience. He gets to see what exciting work a city manager gets to do. Yes. Other than that, I kind of kept you apprised of the water main break we had over there by the Dollar General store. We're gonna go ahead and close up that hole. We contemplated looking at that whole system. We've had a couple of main breaks to the north of that. We were concerned about the damage to the concrete due to the amount of washout that occurred with that main break. A decision was made yesterday that we're gonna go ahead and close up the hole and hope for the best. Because in order to go out, for what we should do is we probably should go all the way from the highway to Second Street as a new street build. And the process to do that just doesn't facilitate leaving that hole open. So as much as I hated to put $10,000 worth of concrete over a possible future break, because where the break was on the other side of where it makes an elbow, you know, as water hits that elbow, that's another place. If you got that much degradation in the pipe, The elbow's another place to leak. There was some concerns that we were having a leak to the south of where it broke anyway. Once they got all the repairs made, that's the reason we left it open during the weekend under pressure, just to make sure that the leak wasn't manifesting itself towards the highway or anywhere else. It wasn't, so the decision was made to close up the hole. But it punctuates the need, and there are other areas that Nick will be working with MC Staff on that, on a better plan, so that if we should pass that 0.5 cent sales tax, we can deploy that in these areas of most urgent need.
Well, if the Department of Roads ever gets their project going on, Highway 30, then maybe it's something we could tie into with that. Have things tore up. That may be a few years away, but
2029.
2029, well, the coordination of it anyway.
By the time we get the street tax backs, I mean, we won't be spending any money till in 2028 anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So we fix and break. We'll break and fix. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Under council reports, Board of Health has not met lately, and we have not met with the Hospital and Health Foundation. It's Councilman Laughley.
All right, on KCAT, just some of the updates, they were here not too long ago, so there's some of this stuff that we don't need to go over, but just some of the newest things. They have their winter sessions, 2026, which is their progressive business sessions, including marketing, retirement, things that they help businesses, just kind of their continuing education for businesses is gearing up, and those are all set out there. Let's see, hanging baskets will start to go in April 7th around the area. The sculpture project for the sculptures around town, you'll start to see those as they get to moving on those. They'll start to move and change, so there'll be additional sculptures. And some of the ones that are around will change and move to other locations. Outside of that, the other big one is they did talk with their board about helping support communication with that health absent sales tax. So they'll be getting back with Kevin on that, on the support that they believe that they can do and go from there, but there was support.
Good.
Christie, do you want a note from the Big Mac meeting, anticipated construction date of the late 27 with the opening of 29?
Correct. Yep, just what Kevin had said. They've been talking with Elite was looking at some different stuff within the area, especially when it comes to entertainment, and then they gave an update on construction projects. Horse Barn should be partially going in. I think they said 75%, 50%, somewhere in there for the first race. So they're continuing to build that section out, but then they'll break ground from what they have approval through the state within, what is it? Not this year, but into 27. So.
Then they've got a couple of July race dates. I don't have those on top of my head.
I do not.
I think the 19th. 15th and 16th, I think.
Sounds about right. They are looking at some additional support for just different things that are thrown out into the community, just seeing what other things maybe that need to be supported in the community. There's any celebrations, things like that, where they could help. So that was just some of the discussions that that community group looked at. And then YMCA, we do not meet until next week.
On the YMCA, I do want to note, and I know I put it in my update, but the YMCA would like, and it's the council's prerogative if we want to do call a special meeting and we all go to the outdoor pool and look around. Or if you just want to grab me and run over and look at the pool while they're cleaning it up, or even if I've got a key, we can go in just to kind of show you what's up there and what's going on. We'll open the pool yet this year. We'll probably open it up next year, but I don't know that I can make any guarantees after that.
What's a new one cost?
At conference, I got on the low side about 5.2 million, to replace basically what we have now with a 0 depth entry and a slide. 6.5, 7.
How many years did that? Seems like it was just built.
1991 is what it was built.
91.
Some of the things we'll have to look at too, based on pools, based on other community feedback as well, is when you start getting into zero entry pools areas, you actually increase the amount of lifeguards that are required to be in some of those areas. Because you have more kids that congregate in the zero entry, and we're right now still having some trouble. And you continue to look for, summer help, it's gonna continue to get harder and harder over time. Then we put that additional burden on them, then it's going to get into payroll issues, so. There'll be a big fact finding, especially with design, what we can facilitate with staff and everything else too.
And that's also, thanks, Chris, because that's also, when in discussion with the pool buildings, the communities, the zero entry pools were the thing.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of
Now they're
moving
all
away from that again.
Cause it came to be, this is just some of the comments that come out of it is. Your zero entry pools, you end up running the risk of being the place that every daycare comes to in town and dumps the kids off for the guards to watch. And that causes issues with facility, it causes issues within the community, so when you put in a. Normal entry, your 3 foot, whatever, it eliminates some of that issue because then it restricts the age of kids. That's why a lot of the communities out there say, well, you have a splash pad, that's your zero entry, don't do it at a pool. And then leave that completely separate.
I know it's difficult to talk about the pool, especially when you start trying to draw an ROI on it, but I can assure you of this, we're losing people to the grant pool.
Amen.
How many? I don't know, but
A lot. I talked to the grant clerk about that when we was last week.
Yep.
Said there's a lot of little people that go.
How many months is that pool open? 3.
don't do the math.
$70,000 a month to have a pool. For $8 million for 35 years.
Well, and you
Huh.
run into issues too, it's, what is the pool used for? Is it recreational? Can you link it to summer, swim meets type things? That's some things that a lot of communities are looking at too. So there's a lot of deal, and you fall into our rec center, we don't have to have an operator, pool operator's licensed person in the facility at all times. They just have to be within, I think it's like a 60-minute window to be able to get there in case there's an issue. When you deal with municipal pool, you have to have a person with a pool operator license on site when it's open at all times. Which I think we have. So then that gets pretty tricky, especially based on the time.
Go YMCA.
So that's one of the things that other communities have to look at is, you got a person that they're your licensed operator. And they leave for vacation for a week, your pool shuts down, unless you have somebody else that could come in and be there on site.
We only have one.
I think only one at this time
Gosh.
with the license. Now, that's
We
as of
used to
last.
have
time I
7
checked.
or 8 back 7 years ago.
Yeah, and I have to double check, so don't string me up for that one, but I believe we have one license at this time. I think they could be looking at additional licenses, so.
I suggest that we just call you, and do it one-on-one with you, go check the pool with a couple council members instead of calling it a special meeting. And just, see when we have time,
Happy to do it.
then start thinking about a new pool.
Yeah, they
Alvin Dupier and I were out and about today.
I'm gonna try to get some additional information because they are doing this kind of things with an aquatic center in the Geary and Scottsbluff area. So that will kind of give us here's some current numbers now, of course, every year that goes, you're gonna probably tag 7% increase every single year going forward, so. It's gonna get expensive fast.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this whole pool thing, but do you think it makes sense to build an indoor facility so that way you can operate it year round instead of just a seasonal thing? But
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I think that group that was looking at, hey, what's next? Cause I think that's the biggest thing that our community is looking at, cause that falls in line with it is, if you do a different facility, depending on what demand is at the YMCA, what's the next? Is it continue to maintain what we have? Or is it to do another project? Is it a project in a joint with, another group, the school, something? They kind of kicked that around, but last time I knew there hasn't been much work done on it. But I think that will be probably our biggest question is, where do you put it? Especially indoor pools, you will run the risk of everything's extremely corrosive. All the chemicals are corrosive. The humidity is a huge factor. So you could, you'd have to design it, but it usually isn't a indoor water park. It's kind of what we have, just probably bigger. And then you put, diving boards become a hazard and cause higher insurance rates. So everything you add to it to make it funner for the community is more expensive. Outdoors is a little bit easier to handle just because you don't have as much corrosion, but then you have the breakdown of concrete materials, things like that over time. So it's kind of a, our community, we're lucky. We've been really lucky over the years having an indoor and outdoor pool, but we're gonna hit a point one day where we have to decide, is that realistic in the future? And can we continue to support both? Or do we need to go with just one, and then what's the focus and the goal forward?
Mechanically, you're probably 5 years from major
Yeah.
work at Goodall.
Think about all hotels that always used to have pools with them, even the small ones. They don't anymore. Pretty rare to see a hotel with a pool.
And I think you could, it's definitely one of those things that if you had something that's multiple use that gets used continuously, that you can pull funding in from, such as your big swim meets, things like that, that make money, that can go into the functionality of a pool year round. That's how those are able to be kept up. I mean, Hastings YMCA was one of them. Quite a few other ones are the same when they do that. So those would be the things that we'd have to look at is, are we in a position, in a place as our community to offer those kind of things? Are we a hub for big swim meets? There's enough interest to bring those big swim meets here from other areas.
It'd be cool to try.
Yeah.
You bring in, it's like driving by Kearney now on Sundays, and looking at the arena, it's every time I go by that place.
Yep.
Last Sunday, they were parked in the grass, the parking lot's full, and they were parked out into the grass, and
Yeah.
they pulled tons of people.
And I think it will also be, is that the place for it, where we have it now versus, when the casino first came in, they were looking, they'd even talked about a possible water park at one time. And I think they kind of scrapped that. So those might be conversations that, continue to happen as things grow and change.
Bigger issue that we can solve tonight. It's on the list.
Turn the sprinklers on at the football field and just let people run through them like.
There you Got late.
Tarps down?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Councilman Lapp?
That's it. Excited.
All right, that's right. Councilman Dupierre.
Chamber of Commerce, we meet tomorrow at noon. My assumption is we will spend a large amount of time talking about the drought, fire ban, and 4th of July fireworks. So should have a better update next month. West Central Nebraska Joint Housing Authority, we will meet in April, as that's a quarterly meeting.
Councilman Clockman.
Nobody has contacted me on the library board yet.
Right.
They were gonna send me an email, Kevin?
Yes.
So I haven't been contacted from them and neither from West Central. I didn't figure they would, so.
That's what, second Wednesday, I think is the library, so they just might not have got to you yet, because I think Kinder's been out too, so.
Now that I said that's probably on my phone if I learn.
Oh. Well done. Yeah, if it's track season, the kiddos they're really busy right now. With basketball, with state basketball, I bet that's one of the reasons you didn't get your message yet.
Councilman Weddington.
County beautiful, but not yet. Nor has West Resource to Before he spoke for the ladder.
All right,
Just a note on that while Councilman Weddington is up, community cleanup week is April 13th to the 17th. Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 at WRG. It's a short week, but we're offering a spring cleanup this year. We'll do a more major cleanup in the fall.
right. There is anything else to bring before the council? They entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dupierre, and second by Councilman Lapley to adjourn.
Five yes?
Motion carried and we're adjourned. Gentlemen, thank you.